Who am I? I'm the greatest. Who am I? I'm getting paid. Who am I? I'm so flagrant. Who am I? I'm the greatest. Who am I? I'm getting paid. Who am I? I'm so flagrant.
What's going on, y'all? This is Boss Roy. Here's your reading for the month of September. This is going to be your channel reading for this month. All right, guys, if you like this reading, please like, share, subscribe for me. Thank you so much. Let's get started. So, guys, like I said, it's going to be a channel reading. At the very end, I'm going to pull from the Hard Truth deck just to get some advice for you. But the major message that I was getting for you guys, it's just been on my mind all day, is these people who were in your life who were difficult, they were just tools for your journey. Okay, you guys could have had, like, difficult loved ones. You could have had difficult relationships, and you guys could be in a place where you're like, okay, why did I run into this person? Like, why do I keep running into these people, over and over again? Okay, you could probably see, like, okay, it's a different scenario, but you're dealing with the same, core personality types that are just really extreme. Okay, you guys could just be in a space where you're under spiritual attack. But let me tell you the meaning of this spiritual attack. This spiritual attack is to help you grow in your journey, okay? It's to really turn you guys into a diamond, okay? With you guys meeting these different people, these difficult people, you're in a space right now where you're taking these life lessons, okay, from these individuals so you can have these healthy boundaries in your next season, okay? You're going to have, the whole purpose of this is to have you soul in this discernment type of level. Your discernment is going to be on a high note, okay? For you guys, for your successful journey, whether it's like in the creative industry or it's like in the working industry, like I said, like private sector or government sector, wherever you guys are going, you guys are going to need to have discernment, okay? You can't just look at people from face value to say, okay, this person has my best interest, okay? You guys probably ran into a lot of individuals who were smiling in your face, giving you all, like, oh, how you doing? They're showing these kind, charismatic type of, interactions, but really they were a snake in the grass, okay? You could have met your, a past love life experience, okay? This person had those same shicey type of ways, okay? You could have dealt with treacherous friends. You could have dealt with treacherous family members. These individuals, they were meant on your pathway, okay? But they were not supposed to be in this place as far as like taking your blessings, okay? They were not supposed to be someone or some energies that were meant to just have you ruminating. They were used as a tool, okay, to help you guys move forward, okay? And I know that that could be sort of like a difficult message to really hear, because anytime you're dealing with difficult personalities, okay, there's, like I said, sometimes you can run into trauma with all these different things, okay? Especially when you're dealing with someone and they're causing a lot of chaos in your life. You could deal with a lot of traumatic, episodes, with dealing with these different types of people, okay? But it's meant to have you guys in a place where you don't let your guard down automatically, okay? I think, like I said, with some of you guys have this empath energy where you are very loving, you're very kind, and you sort of give people the benefit of the doubt. That won't be able to serve you in your next level, okay? You can still be an empath, but you need to have discernment while you're being an empath, okay? You can't just be out there saying, okay, well, you know what? This person here, okay, we come from the same type of spirit, we come from the same type of background, so I can have this, like, this unyielding trust for this individual. You guys are now looking at situations where you're like, okay, no, now I can look at this and say, I'm not just going to take someone from face value and then decide, okay, they're a good person, okay? A lot of times, like I said, you guys could look at different people. You're like, man, they're not really going through, the same issues I'm going through. And they're not really going through the same type of, mess I'm going through. Your calling is great. When you have a great calling, okay, well, your calling is going to be great, well, your calling is going to impact multitudes of people, okay, well, you're going to be a leader, okay, you have to have a high level of discernment before you take any leadership seat. When you're like it could be a creative, you have to have a high level of discernment before you even take a creative seat, okay? Because you're going to be hiring different people, okay? You could be, like I said, leading different people. And you can't just sort of go into a situation where you're like, okay, you know what? I'm comfortable with my comfort zone, okay? And I think that you guys, like I said, I think you're dealing with that right now where you're healed a lot through your codependencies, but even from your friendships, or it could be, like I said, from work life experiences, you get comfortable real easy with what's familiar to you, okay? And that's a major lesson learned that that's what's been on your pathway, where it's like, don't get comfortable with what's been around you, okay? Just because someone's been in your sphere for 5 years, okay, 10 years, 15 years, okay? their character could shift. Okay, their character may change. They may not be trustworthy in XYZ. Okay, you may trust them. They may be good on a one-on-one type of level, but when it comes down to, like, managing money, that person could be crooked. Okay, these life lessons that you're learning now, it may be difficult. Okay, it may be challenging. It may be a hard pill to swallow, but nothing is in comparison to, like, being in a higher level and dealing with someone who's trying to destroy what you built up for yourself. Okay, destroying your empire. Okay, destroying your financial gains. Okay, based on their their negligence. Okay, first thing that came to mind. I don't know if you guys remember, like I said, the interview that Kiki Palmer had with Lizzo, where she was like, I didn't know that was going on. I didn't know that, that this person that I gave this authority to was doing this to this group of dancers, okay? Those things right there, you guys don't want to have those red flags coming up in your career field, okay? And like I said before, that's the main reason why your lesson has been like a tough lesson, because I'm telling you, leaders are held on a higher standard, okay? Guess what? When you're dealing with situations like that or whatever, who gets sued? Who gets their face on the focal front when it comes down to tearing someone's reputation down? It'll be on you. Okay, like I said, you're in a job situation. Okay, you're in a leadership role, and you're not able to really know what's going on with your team. You don't know what's going on with the emotional well-being of your team. Okay, and then they come to you asking the question like, "Hey, well, you got Joey that was hired. Okay." And they did XYZ. You didn't know about that? Okay. You didn't know that this person here was doing, some sexual misconduct on this office. Okay. You didn't check to see, what signs they're bringing in. Like all those different things. I'm speaking in broader terms, guys, because discernment is necessary. Okay. Being able to sort of like not only read the room, but also, like I said, looking behind the veil is going to be necessary in your next journey of life. Okay. That's why probably you guys have been running into roadblocks right now, because, it's really for you to learn and develop how to process things more in a logical type of level and not being in this reactive space when it comes down to, difficult people or people who are, like I said, on your journey and they're doing things that are like, very like, fraudulent. It's to have you handle it and have that composure, because in your new seat, in your new journey in life, okay, when you get to your level of success, you're going to meet people, especially being in that leadership role. Some of you guys are, like I said, going to be heavily tied to leadership, even when it comes down to like owning your own business, your creative venues. You're going to be tied where it's like people going to have that eye right on you to say, okay, well, how are you handling this? It's important for you guys to know, okay, this is what's going on in my environment. This is what's, I need to be mindful about when people are coming into my sphere, okay? They could come in, like I said, they may have the best intentions for me, but if they're not showing the same energy, okay, to my staff members, okay, they're not bringing in my level of standards to, other departments, okay, then we got a problem. Okay, and so many times we can look at different things with leadership now. They could get very comfortable, okay, with delegating the work and not really looking at as far as what's going on. So when things hit, when shit hit the fan, right, the saying, then they looking like, this is confusing. I don't understand why. These people, I had trust. In leadership, you always had that mindset where it's like, okay, you know what? Hey, I had trust, but I'm not gullible either, okay? And like I said, spiritually, y'all, a lot of that sandpaper right now, as far as what you're going through, is sandpapering off all those edges that you don't need in your next journey, okay? So, like I said, you guys have like an issue with gullibility, okay? You guys are learning those lessons where it's like, okay, now I protect my space, I protect my energy, and you're not coming from a withdrawn space. And I think the major thing that you guys need to learn right now, some of you guys have shut down from past situations because these people have taken a big focal front in your livelihood. Okay, you're still in your past, ruminating on past experiences. Okay, past relationships, and they're like they're becoming this big major milestone, and then you're probably, like I said, looking at it where it's like, okay, well, you know what, they took so much from me. How do I get this back? They didn't take anything from you at all. Okay. Yes, that was a trial that you went through. Okay. Yes, it takes time to heal from that. And I'm not knocking anybody's healing journey. That's important too as well. It's important for us to heal in a proper type of manner. However, their purpose was to be like I said, a learning curve for you to get onto the next level, okay? New levels, new devils, okay? You guys are going to be in a space where it's like you're going to run into new devils in your environment, okay? And when you have someone that's closer to the top, some of you guys are going to move closer to the top, you're going to see a lot of people that's going to be fraudulent in your face, meaning they will give you a lot of praises. They may say, like I said, you're going to see a lot of that happy, jovial type of behavior, okay? But in the back of their mind, they could be plotting as far as like, how to bring about your demise, okay? And you guys are in the space where you're able to discern who you need to hold close and who you need to say, no, I'm not going to hold you close, okay? How to have those proper boundaries with people where it's like, okay, yeah, you know what, this person, their work ethic is cool, but I know I have to really watch them when it comes down to how they communicate effectively with my team and knowing when to check behavior without getting overly emotional, okay? And that's another thing, too, with you guys really learning from these difficult people. You guys gonna have people, like I said, just blow up on you and it triggered your emotions to meet them on that same energy. You guys are gonna be in that power seat where it's like, hey, you know what? When you get into a level of authority, if someone's not aligned with your purpose and they bring in bad energy, you just say, hey, you know what? We no longer going to work together, okay? We're no longer going to, invest in this partnership because guess what? We don't get along, okay? I'm not going to, like I said, you see someone and you extend a contract to them and they're bringing in toxic behavior. You don't meet them on that negative emotional type level. You say, hey, you know what? We're not going to grow on this pathway. I'm sorry, but you don't represent what I'm looking to grow with for my team and my environment. You guys are learning how to be really straightforward when it comes down to your communication, okay? You're breaking down that codependency. You don't need someone to take that focal front in your life, okay? Right now, even I'm being honest, like I said, some of you guys could be in the dating market right now, and you probably, like I said, okay, when's my partner coming in? What's going to happen? All these different things. And the reason why that has not manifested as of yet, because you have to have more, you have to really learn to identify how to handle situations and have your own boundaries and not delegating different things to other people to sort of defend you. Okay. You're not somewhere where you're going to be like, to be in your next level. You can't be like, Rapunzel in the castle. Okay. And expecting, Prince or Princess Charming, okay, to come up and say, okay, well, I handle it, I'll make sure it's good, because that's a false level of security, okay? And that's how, past relationships could have ended with you guys, and you weren't able to really identify it as soon as you could because you let in that codependency vibe. And now, like I said, with those lessons learned, you know that you can apply that towards people who are in your environment, okay? Well, you got people that's looking to control you guys' life and they're happy to have you in this illusion type of perspective, that's a red flag, okay? That's a red flag. You guys are really in the seat where you're like, okay, you know what? I'm not going to be in a situation where I'm triggered by these, past situations, okay? Like I said, they're learning lessons, okay? It's best to learn now, okay, to be in that space and say, okay, you know what was the main reason for this person to be in my life? And you guys probably are looking at as far as like, what this person took away from you and all the rest, like I said, your emotional well-being. But really, to be honest with you, who you are right now is a beautiful person, okay? Because not only were you able to grow from that situation, you're able to identify not only, okay, what you're not going to allow in your life, how you're not going to have your own weaknesses and your own naive behavior in certain situations, okay? You're putting in more boundaries, what comes in and also what you're bringing into situations, okay? And that's important, guys. That's important. It's important for you to have a big understanding as far as like, your flaws, your strengths. And that's something that's going to be necessary in your growth process moving forward, okay? Like I said, it's good to know when you're saying like, okay, you know what? Hey, I need to learn how to I delegated this work, but I need to make sure that my team is on the right page, okay? I need to make sure that, their emotional well-being is on the right type of manner, okay? I can't just put myself first in a situation, or I can't just say, hey, you know what? I'm worn out, so I'm just going to let someone else do it. You're being more, you're taking in that responsibility. And in leadership, you have to take in that responsibility. You have to make sure you're not just looking at yourself in a scenario. Because how many times have we seen that happen? When people just look at themselves and then they see their business fall apart, okay? Then they get reviews and it's like, okay, you know what? Hey, this person is a horrible manager. This person is a horrible, like, owner. Okay, business owner, because they had no interpersonal relationship skills. Okay, you guys, like I said before, it may seem rough now, but your tough trial now, okay, means that you had that strong potential. You're going to be used for greatness coming forward. Okay, this is not to have you in this isolation. Okay, this is not to have you in this isolated spirit where it's like, okay, well, you're like, okay, you know what, this happened to me, let me sort of be a recluse. That's not a part of your calling. Some of you guys could be in an isolation right now where you're like, okay, I'm afraid to sort of like take in new things or do new things. No, that person or individuals who are in your life, okay, that was for their reasoning, okay, to really make you into a stronger person, you know what I'm saying? And it's not like, it don't have them come back in your energy and say, well, I made you to a stronger person. No, this is your truth knowing where it's like, you know what, I changed for the better for myself. I know how to identify, crappy behavior. I know how to identify bullshit. That's what you guys took from those lessons. You know how to identify mess. Okay. And like I said, and they could have been tough lessons. They could have been, like I said, lessons that you're still healing from, lessons that you, like I said, going to therapy for. I'm all about, like I said, going to proper avenues when it comes down to your healing journey. But just don't be in a place where you shut down emotionally based on your past. Okay. That's going to be a blip on your radar. Okay. And like I said, my word, like I said, my readings, like I said, they're timeless. So, when you get to your next level and you see different things in your life, come back and see. And hey, put in the comments. It could be, like I said before, could be a month from now, could be a year from now, whenever that growth is going to be for you, to say, hey, boss, yeah, I sort of see, what happened, what transpired, but it helped me understand, okay, you know what, this is how I'm going to apply for my next journey, okay? Like one more story that's in my mind, like I said, I remember like one of my favorite actresses, Glenn Close, and someone was asking her in the interview, she was just like, like, well, how did you get these, because some of her characters, she plays these unhinged characters, okay? And they were just like, how do you pull from this? How do you get this, this creativity, with your acting skills? And she said, she came from a rough background when it came to her father, okay? And a lot of her creativity and how she channels those characters came from her beginning, okay, with her experience with her father. Now, did that mean that she, embraced her father and, like I said, didn't have any boundaries in her life? No. She did not allow her past, okay, to have her in a stumbling block when it came down to her creativity, when it came down to her success story, okay? And that's what you guys are going to really walk into your new motive in life. Like I said before, some of you guys could be authors, some of you guys could be actors, some of you guys could be comedians, some of you guys could be, like I said before, in the business world, but your past avenues, your parents, past relationships, it's going to be a blimp, okay? Because your success story is going to be so out there that people are going to see it. They're going to be like, wow, how did you do this? How did you go about, really, gaining this creativity? How do you know about how to identify bad people in your environment? And it's going to come from that person that was a blimp on your radar, okay, that no longer has any type of power, okay? They serve their purpose, okay? So really, like I said, while you're in this healing journey, okay, if that person's still on their mindset, on your mindset, just say, hey, they serve their purpose. I'm in my new bag. I'm in my new opportunity, and they're not gonna have me stuck in the past, ruminating on their past, like I said, offenses. Okay. I'm just gonna pull one card for the hard truth deck. What's something that you need to hear right now? Whoa. Dwelling on darkness. Okay. Focusing on the negative may cause you to overlook all the good that is present. Redirect your attention to the blessings in your life, okay? That summarizes all right there, guys. Don't ruminate. Don't ruminate on the past, okay? These things were lessons learned for you, okay? And focus on that. Darkness will not have you get to your calling. Will not have you get to your light energy where it's like, okay, where your calling is going to be meant for a whole group of people, okay? Your calling is going to be meant for someone to really learn from you and really to see your, your ambition and see your focal front. You're supposed to be that growing light in whatever career avenue that you're going to be affiliated with, okay? Don't have yourself stuck in this past perspective, okay? Because this is not going to be, like I said, your main focal front in life. Your main, like I said, growth process right now is to really discover who you are, okay, and what newness that needs to be present in your environment with people in your space right now, okay? What needs to be the new you moving forward, okay? It's the past, okay? Like I said, heal and release, okay? Heal and release, all right? All right, guys, this is your channel reading for the month of September. Looking forward to talking to you soon. If you like this reading, please like, share, subscribe for me. Thank you so much.
Who am I? I'm the greatest. Who am I? I'm getting paid. Who am I? I'm so flagrant. Who am I? I'm the greatest. Who am I? I'm getting paid. Who am I? I'm so flagrant.